It sucked. The SmackDown draft absolutely 100% sucked. Almost nothing came out of it. Like, for real, almost nothing came out of it. I hope there's backlash. I really do. No pun intended, since that's the next pay-per-view. Premium live event, actually. I hope there's backlash, and I hope Triple H pivots and makes Raw draft actually do something, because this was lame. I'm not even talking about the episode of SmackDown, but it was a fine episode. But the draft was the key thing. That's what everybody was looking forward to, and nothing, almost nothing happened because of the draft. Let's look at these picks, right? Bianca Belair to SmackDown. She's already on SmackDown. She's already on SmackDown, and that's the running theme of this draft. Jey Uso to Raw. He was already on Raw, so nothing changes. Carmelo Hayes to SmackDown. Carmelo Hayes. You know what? This is kind of a big deal, but it's kind of not. So I get that Carmelo Hayes is the future of the industry, and I also get that a lot of WWE fans love NXT, but from the perspective of the casual, from the perspective of not, maybe even more than a casual, someone who watches Raw and someone who watches SmackDown, but not everybody watches NXT. A lot of people don't watch NXT. So yeah, it's cool to like make a big deal of him coming up, but you do that with vignettes and videos to showcase how amazing he is. Not during the draft, because who cares? If he's not Raw or SmackDown, who cares? I'm sorry, that might be a controversial take, but the average person doesn't know who he is. And they won't also know who the 1% girl at the end is. And they won't know who Braun Breaker is as well. I'm going to talk about Braun in a minute. Let me finish round one. And then Raw gets Seth Rollins. They already had Seth Rollins. So really, nothing really changed. Nothing changed at all, except for the minor leagues lost one of their top players. Now, if I was Carmelo Hayes, this would be the best day of my life, and good for him. Round two, Randy Orton goes to SmackDown. He's already on SmackDown. Braun Breaker, he goes to Raw. Okay, so this is a switch. Braun Breaker goes to Raw because he was a SmackDown guy. But they literally just did the angle of where you're going to sign. He just signed. All he's done is squash people. All he's done is squash people. Who cares? So Raw takes someone who's just squashing people, and it's not even like a Goldberg type squash where they're centerpiecing the show around it. It's just like, okay, he's beating local jobbers, enhancement talent, and Rick Grimes as well. I think that was Rick Grimes' last match. He's the guy that's crying about losing his job. And I would cry too. I have a dream job at WWE. I'm not throwing shade at Rick Grimes. I would be sad. Very sad too. But Braun Breaker, he's done absolutely nothing, so who cares? I remember when Braun Strowman got drafted, but that was after like 3 months, 4 months, 5 months of just squashing people. That was kind of a big deal then, but Braun Breaker's done nothing. To me, Braun Breaker's still an NXT guy. So again, another NXT guy goes to Raw. He's done nothing on SmackDown to make it important. These drafts, these shakeups, it's supposed to be like, oh my gosh, how can SmackDown survive without John Cena? What's going to happen on Raw now that the face of SmackDown is here? But like Braun Breaker has had zero effect on anything on SmackDown. He's done nothing on SmackDown. He's done a lot on NXT. And he's going to be the future. He's going to be great. But again, he's done nothing on SmackDown, so who cares? It's going to be like, there will be no effects felt by him leaving SmackDown. Let's go to the next one. Nia Jax goes to SmackDown. Okay, that one, that's a good one. That's a good one. Nia Jax has been on a tear on Raw, so I will admit that's a good one. And her coming in and just decimating Bayley and Naomi, that was a good move. Okay, so there, something done right. Then they go back to all the wrong things. Liv Morgan to Raw. She's already on Raw. So far, we've gotten NXT guys moving around and Nia Jax. Round 3, LA Knight stays on SmackDown. The dude stays on SmackDown. That is a guy who should go to Raw. He should definitely go to Raw. He can be a little more raunchy. It's cable. It's past 10 p.m. He's already a face. Him and Cody are going to be battling for the audience. Unless you're going to turn him full-fledged heel. Even if that's the case, he's still already on SmackDown. And then, what's his 1-to-1? This is how far LA Knight has fallen down the card. 1-to-1, his draft value. On the opposite side, what does Raw get? Ricochet? When was the last time Ricochet was relevant? Last SummerSlam? And that's only because of Logan Paul? Ricochet hasn't done nothing. I like Ricochet, but I'm being real here. And if you guys are real too, it's like, not the potential that Ricochet has, not the wasted talent that Ricochet is. I'm just saying, storyline-wise, placement on the card, Ricochet is here, and LA Knight is here, but should be here. It's like, what? And for that matter, Ricochet was already on Raw, so he just stays on Raw. In fact, everybody in round 3 just stays where they're at. The Bloodline, the entire Bloodline, the new Bloodline that is, they just stay on SmackDown, which is another dumb choice, because this Bloodline is the new Bloodline, and Solo needs time to elevate himself. And if Cody was around, with as much trouble he's had from the Bloodline, he can't allow that to happen. And Solo definitely is not up to par to be a threat to Cody. So just keep them separate. Then who else stays? Sheamus stays on Raw. There goes catering. Sorry, I had to. Notice the theme? Are you guys sick of me saying he's already on Raw? He's already on SmackDown. That's all I'm constantly repeating. I'm sick of me saying it. I'm sick of me hearing it, and I'm sick that it happened. Because you are way smarter than this, Triple H. Did you just want the hashtag of the draft along with the actual NFL draft? Tony Khan did a better draft than you did, Triple H, because he showed up with a neck brace and got people talking in a positive way about wrestling. Although his Harvey Weinstein comments, I'm gonna do a video on that, Tony, because I was all on board with you, and then you made me like, ooh. But anyways, back to the crappy SmackDown draft. Round 4. AJ Styles stays on SmackDown. Alpha Academy stays on Raw. Andrade, he moves to SmackDown. Who cares? I'm sorry. I know he had a WrestleMania match and all, but the dude is like, I don't feel him. I don't feel it. I don't see what the big deal is. The guy hasn't done anything. These should be movers and shakers. Right? Seth Rollins to SmackDown would have been a huge deal. That's a mover and a shaker. Even Alpha Academy right now, because of Chad Gable's, his new persona. And why didn't they do a 1-to-1 Bloodline Alpha Academy? Because, group for group, whatever. Andrade, he hasn't done barely anything worth of note. Him leaving Raw doesn't really affect anything. And then Kiana James to Raw. Whatever I said about Carmelo Hayes, just apply it to Kiana James, because same thing. Very talented, very happy for her. If I was her, it'd be one of the best days of my life. But you're an NXT person, and main roster fans, we don't know you guys, so it's not a big deal to us. It's like, oh, okay. It's like when it was the Royal Rumble, right? And we're counting down somebody, and it's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We want a returning legend. We want a huge star. We want something big, and then out comes the Bushwhackers. It's like, oh, okay. Moving on, and you're the last one? Tony Khan's the winner of the draft for the 2024 season. Nick Brace Tony. Oh, I really hope there's a backlash and Triple H pivots and makes some actual moves. Side note, what about Roman? He just says, I'm not participating. He doesn't even have the championship. I'm not participating. They should have, I don't know. Maybe The Rock should have thrown that in, and that could have added to the intrigue of, wait, who's in charge? If The Rock had just been as the member of the board, as the board of directors, the final boss, I'm saying that Roman is not in, and it's The Rock who takes Roman out instead of Roman who takes himself out, because Roman would have took himself out, but because The Rock took him out, it's like, hey, you can't speak for me, even if that's what my opinion was anyways. That would have been cool. Maybe I'll do a short on that, because it's at the tail end of the video, and a lot of people aren't even here. But that said, I still acknowledge you, Roman, just like I hope you acknowledge the subscribe button. Have a great day.